Okay, so there has been so much pushback against the new findings under the Giza Plateau, and to be honest, rightfully so. This is either going to be the greatest, most amazing discovery since probably the discovery of the pyramids all those years ago, or this is the greatest fabrication story that has managed to convince millions of people that there are 8 cylindrical structures underneath the pyramid of Khafre. In today's video, we are going to be looking at Professor Simon, who is going to go into a little bit more of a scientific detail behind the technology that has been used, this SAR. So guys, if you do like the video, please do me a favor, like the video, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace. Professor Simon, let's go. I'm excited to watch this because I think this is a bit more of like
Everybody's been asking me what's really under the pyramids of Giza.
I mean, I so want this to be real, and I think most people around the world do.
The shape and form of the stuff underneath the pyramid might begin to explain a function.
Mate, can I just say, sorry to interrupt this. This room is awesome. Like the raw stone, like this, mate, and the wine rack. This guy is, I mean, it looks like somewhere that an archaeologist would live. So if that's what he is, then fair enough. And if he's not, then, and he just has the coolest room in the world, then, like, I mean, this guy's got so many points from me already. Fair play.
And that would be fantastic. I've often thought that
just the coolest man on the planet
weren't just a burial chamber. Maybe there was some function.
Power plant? Question mark. This is very dramatic.
So today, join me in looking at one piece of evidence,
Simon,
which I think will shine a light on what's underneath the pyramids of Giza from my knowledge. And that is, how did they find out what's underneath the pyramids?
Here we go.
So I've read everything that is available from the Scotsman and the Italian who have come up with this press conference with this big announcement. They're yet to publish their paper. I think it comes out maybe early this week. So let's read it when it does come out. So the one thing that I can add to the story is my past research into synthetic aperture radar and imaging systems. They claim that they used SAR, synthetic aperture radar,
previous experience
to penetrate the Earth by over 2,000 feet. Well, that's not how synthetic aperture radar works.
I've read this.
It might be a very vague byproduct. SAR is brilliant, and there is a commercial system as well as, of course, the military system, so it's possible that they did have access to it. And it lets you see through rain and cloud and fog and at night, and it will also take away tree cover to give you very, very accurate measurements of altitude. That's how it works. If you take 3 synthetic aperture radars and shine it down onto the surface of the Earth, it will penetrate weather, foliage, and work at night, of course, and give you a very accurate measurement of anything that is above the ground. For example, the military can use it to see if the oleo struts on an airplane have lowered due to there being a bomb on board the plane. So it's very, very accurate, but it doesn't really penetrate the Earth. It's bouncing off the surface of the Earth. There is kind of evidence that you can use SAR for mineral research. It's very sensitive to certain magnetic resonances from metals.
So what I'm gathering so far, for anyone who's sort of not really following along, what he's saying is, I'm pretty sure that most people would have read it by now on Twitter, is that the SAR, I mean, it's shot from a satellite in space, and it actually cannot penetrate the ground. So it will be interesting to hear how, I mean, I've seen the 3D models, I've seen the scans. How did they get that if it's something that isn't available? Because I'm not going to lie, if I find out this is a hoax and it was completely made up and fabricated, which I don't believe that. I really, really want to not believe that this is all completely made up, completely, I don't know, fabricated for laughs. I don't. Why would you do that? I mean, that'd be so disappointing, man. It really, really would. I'm going to have faith. I really am. Just only because I really want it to happen. I really want it to be real. But
the story goes that if you have something of a known atomic mass, such as a belt buckle from the US, you can find US service people on a battleground by dialing in the exact atomic mass of their belt buckle.
So it can detect metal.
Trousers, so finding the person inside the trousers. That's what I hear. And also the story that Ayatollah Khamenei was given a very specific gravity ring, which you can look for anywhere in Iran. That's a bit of a tall order. But definitely a government agency such as the NRO can use satellite radar to measure things like car production in Korea. You can measure the specific gravity of a battery or a part of a car, and you can count how many are coming out of the factory. So economic spying by SAR. But it doesn't really penetrate the earth. The one system that does penetrate the ground that you have seen on
ground penetrating radar
Time Team,
question mark,
I used to work on, use ground penetrating radar. It's like a lawnmower that you push over the ground, and it will go through soil in Egypt by about 5 to 10 feet. Possibly there's military grade ground penetrating radar that can go deeper, but certainly not down to 2,000 feet. The only way I know to get details deep under the ground, thousands of feet, is to use a seismic system. What you can do is set off a charge, poof, in a borehole surrounded by seismographs, and the speed of the shockwave propagating from the explosion reaching the seismographs, you can join them all together and make some kind of vague picture of the underlying strata. You use it for oil exploration. It's a well-known system. But that brings me on to another point. Another program I've worked on in my history of television, there's a lot of films about Egypt, and the director of antiquities in Egypt is notoriously not very open to wacky theories, and certainly not open to seismographic explosions underneath his pyramids. It's just not going to happen. All the more outlandish programs on Egypt use generic stock shots. You just don't get permission to do aliens in Egypt story. They find it very disrespectful to their ancestors, which I agree.
Yeah.
Although they're interesting ideas, you just don't get permission from Cairo to go and do those programs. So I can't...
Right, I'm going to clear just one thing up. I do agree that I think that... I agree. I can see why they would find alternative theory disrespectful, because it's their people that have done all this and what have you. So I completely understand. That doesn't mean that I share the same thoughts and theories. Look, I'm no one in this space. I really am not. I'm not an archaeologist. I'm not a scientist. I am just a person who has been looking into this for a number of years now. And I've built my own opinions and my own theories. It's pretty much based on what I want to be real as opposed to what actually is real. But I don't know. You look at it from a factual standpoint. The Great Pyramid is 6 million tons, or 5.75 tons. Used 2.3 million blocks weighing up to 80 tons, which is the granite blocks above the King's Chamber. That, to me, to be done in apparently a 23-year reign, or whatever they say it's built in, I think it's 20 or 23 years, it just doesn't seem likely. And sort of every person who's either a stonemason or like just a sort of building contractors and stuff, they all look at that place and they just say it's not something that can be done, especially with like the chambers and everything that's found inside and how they're all cut and they're at just an angle that is so precise from top to bottom. And I don't know, like if they did it by hand and they did it within the 23-year period, the only way that I would see that as being possible is to have some form of technology that we are not giving them credit for. We're saying hammers and chisels, we're saying primitive methods, we're saying this and we're saying that. They were able to do things so precisely that we are not able to do today, or if we are able to do it today, we have to use computer systems and either sort of like laser precision or diamond cut. So I don't know, man. It's something that has had question marks ever since its discovery. And I mean, that says a lot. Even to this day, we don't know who, We don't know how. I really want this to be real. Really, really want this to be real.
Imagine how they actually did the survey under the pyramids of Giza, which are very, very special to Egyptians, of course. So what are these researchers saying about how they imaged this amazing find? You know, giant pillars with coily ropes and 2,000 feet and then chambers and then so. I mean, it's great. I love it. But how did they do it? Well, they are very vague. They cite synthetic.
Every time I see this picture, let's, for argument's sake, say that this is real, okay? I don't even know what I would like. What would I do? Like, I want it so bad to be real. And if they said to me that is real, or I mean, if we heard that is real, I don't know what it would actually do, other than I think my jaw would just drop and probably would not realign with the rest of my mouth for the rest of my life. It's insane that this is even slightly spoken about, and this is even slightly a possibility. I mean, unless it's not. I tell you what, though, if this has been fabricated and made up, I don't even know what I'd do. I'd be really disappointed, I'll tell you that for sure.
Aperture radar, which really doesn't look underground. Okay, they're not talking about doing the kind of seismic blast and seismographs in a circle around the pyramids. They wouldn't get permission to do that anyway. But what they are saying is that they've
weird,
got
though.
access to some kind of system that I don't even know exists on board some satellite they don't name that has an exotic kind of sensor. Why would they have access to it? That can measure the vibrations of the Earth, that can form a picture deep inside the Earth. Well, I don't think these two researchers have their own satellite program. And if it is on a satellite, tell us which satellite and what is the system that they're using. And I don't fully understand the vibration theory and to the level of visual detail that they're publishing. So that's my thoughts. I want it to be real. I want a real form and function more than a burial chamber to be discovered about the big pyramids.
The burial chamber is such a poo-poo theory.
How they built them. Did they have a secret function? I mean, I think that would be really interesting to discover. Of course, if this is true, and there's 2,000-foot multiple shafts on top of a secret underground chamber underneath that, it immediately would reveal that it wasn't built by the ancient Egyptians, who didn't have the tools or the technology around at their age to build such a deep underground structure. So that raises a whole other question of who built it. But what I and the world really should be waiting for is the details of how they did the imaging, if and when they publish their paper this
100%.
week. Stay tuned.
Yes.
Because
also, I'd love to hear your theories behind this lost ancient advanced civilization, because part of the reason that I believe that there is a possibility of there being an advanced civilization, and this is just pure opinion and my theory, this is nothing else. My theory is, if, for argument's sake, us today, we went extinct just for unforeseen circumstances, every single person bar a few were gone, basically. The chances of us in thousands of years to come being found is very slim. Like, we haven't really, we tend to build a lot of stuff out of glass and metal, which is all stuff that is, I mean, it would just be gone after thousands of years. Do you know what I mean? Whereas obviously they done, like the ancients that we know about, like Göbekli Tepe and ancient Egypt, they built these massive marvels out of stone. So it's very much stuff that can, if treated and looked after, can be found after thousands of years. Like Göbekli Tepe, for instance, it was buried on purpose, and it still looks amazing today. But the chances of us being, I guess, found after, let's say, 5,000 years is very slim. So, I mean, we're considered an advanced civilization. So, by definition, if they couldn't find us after 5,000 years, we would then be a lost advanced civilization. And when I say that I believe in things like an advanced civilization, I don't mean these people had flying cars and they were able to do space travel, although there is a bit of evidence for that. Look, it's just fun speculation. However, I'm putting across the idea that if there was an advanced civilization, maybe they didn't have phones, maybe they didn't have electric scooters like we have today, but maybe what they did have was a crazy advanced knowledge of geometry, astronomy, stonemasonry, like the advanced way of cutting granite and diorite and certain other horrendously hard materials like you find at Pumapunku, Egypt, and all over the place. I don't know, man. Looking at everything, looking at all the evidence, looking at all these historic sites, it's really hard not to believe that something or someone, some people who were considerably more advanced than we are today existed. It's really, really hard not to look at that and believe it. And you might disagree with me and that, and you, honestly, please, like, if you do disagree, comment down below. Let me know why. Let me know how. Because like I say, I'm not a scientist. I'm not an archaeologist. I'm just a guy with an interest and a bit of an unhealthy obsession. But that's okay. Let's carry on.
Truth needs to be out there.
It does. I really paused that at the wrong time because it's now just finished. One thing I will say, that guy is cool. I'm going to subscribe to his channel because he is very cool and very easy to listen to as well. So, Professor Simon, you are a gangster and you've just gained a new subscriber and hopefully a few more as well, because if you did like that video, I do urge you to go and watch a load of his other videos as well, because he seems really interesting and he's got a very cool room. But if you did like the video, please do me a favor, like the video, comment down below, what is your theory? Is this, in your opinion, is this something that you think is real, or have you done enough research, or do you know enough about this technology that they apparently use, and is it all fabricated, made up? I personally do not believe that it is, but that's purely because I really, really want it to be true. And these people that have done this study with the whatever they've used to map it underneath the ground, they seem very, very confident in their findings, but it could be fabricated, it could be completely made up. And I'm not going to lie, I'm not an emotional person. I'll probably cry just because I want this to be real so bad. Guys, have a good rest of your day, and hopefully we'll find out over the next few days that it's real. Peace.